Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a story that starts with what looks like a tragic accident, but peels back the layers to reveal a sophisticated and, frankly, terrifying new threat to national security. It's a case where a huge win for law enforcement also came at a devastating price.
Okay, so picture this. The Nowgam Police Station in Srinagar. It's supposed to be a place of order, where evidence is kept safe and cases are built.
But on this one Friday night, that sense of order was just obliterated. A massive explosion ripped through the building, turning a place of security into a scene of complete chaos.
And the human cost? It was just awful. At least 9 people were killed. We're talking police officers, officials, and the most tragic part, the forensic experts who were on site to investigate a totally different crime.
So right away, you've got two huge questions, right? What on earth happened? And why was a giant stockpile of explosives just sitting in a police station? Answering these questions is how we get from this awful accident to the discovery of a massive terror plot. So let's dive in. To really get what happened at Nowgam, you gotta rewind the clock just a little bit. See, that explosion wasn't some isolated incident. It was the final, tragic piece of a puzzle that started with a car blast in Delhi and then a huge terror bust in Faridabad.
And you know what's crazy? This whole thing didn't start with some big raid or a shootout. The trail started with something much smaller, an investigation into who was putting up terror group posters in Srinagar. That's it. Police started pulling on that one tiny thread, and the whole conspiracy started to unravel.
That thread led investigators all the way to Faridabad, and to this. Just look at that number. We're talking nearly 3,000 kilograms of material for making IEDs. To put that in perspective, that is enough raw material for multiple catastrophic attacks in major cities.
And it wasn't just the raw explosives. They found the whole shebang, an AK-47, plenty of ammo, and all the equipment you need to actually build the bombs. This wasn't just a group with an idea. No, this was a network that had the weapons, the materials, and they were ready to act.
A find like this, so big and so organized, it begs the question, right? Who is behind something on this scale? Well, the answer is what makes this case so different and so alarming. It reveals a really scary evolution in how terror groups operate. Because when the police started making arrests, they weren't finding the kind of militants you might picture in your head. Instead, they uncovered what they called a white-collar terror ecosystem.
So what does that even mean? A white-collar terror module? This is the real game changer. Think about it. We are not talking about operatives hiding out in some remote camp. We're talking about respected professionals, people like doctors and academics, who are using their legitimate jobs as the perfect cover to radicalize people, to raise money, and to move dangerous materials, all while hiding in plain sight. And this chart here just lays out the difference so clearly. On one side, you have the traditional idea of a terrorist, the foot soldier, the attacker. But on the other side, you have this new evolution. Educated professionals who are the logistical backbone. They're not the bombers. They're the ones who make the bombing possible. And that's what makes them so dangerous. They operate under this cloak of respectability.
Okay, so let's get into the aftermath, because once investigators realized what they had stumbled upon in Faridabad, it sent shockwaves through the entire country's security system.
And yeah, this was definitely not some small-time local plot. The network they uncovered stretched across multiple states, from Jammu and Kashmir down to Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. They also think there's a good chance it was linked to that car blast in Delhi. And, no surprise here, a direct line of communication to handlers in Pakistan, all done through encrypted apps to stay off the grid. So, as you'd expect, the response was swift and massive. First, a high alert went out across several states. Then, the National Investigation Agency stepped in to lead the case because this was clearly a transnational threat. And, crucially, they ordered a top-to-bottom review of the safety rules for handling seized explosives.
And that last point, that brings us full circle, right back to the blasts at Nowgam. It's just such a tragic paradox, isn't it? They pull off this incredible counter-terror success, seizing a massive cache, only for that success to directly cause this deadly accident. It was a huge victory that came at a truly terrible cost.
When you step back and look at this whole thing, it leaves you with a really chilling thought. The operation was a success, for sure. But in taking down this network, it unmasked a new kind of threat. One that's smarter, more integrated into society, and way, way harder to spot. It forces us all to ask a very uncomfortable question.